Hey guys, Terry here with the Forest Farm Project. During this kitchen laundry remodel, each week we've reconnected the washer and dryer on a Saturday, and that way we can keep our laundry clean and not have to go to a laundromat or whatnot. Well, this past week we covered up the vent hole for the dryer, so we've got to cut the new one in. So let's get it done. So first off, we're going to measure how far from the side of the dryer over to the edge of the vent is, and that is about 11.5 inches. Off the floor, it is 1.5 inches. So let's go over here where it's got to go in. So we were 11.5 inches off the wall, but we also have to allow for baseboard and quarter round. So we're just going to add another 1.5 inches, which will put us over at 13 inches. And that should be the inside, the edge on this side of the dryer vent, 13 inches. And that puts us past that stud, so we're good there. The 1.5 inches off the floor, you also have to add 3/4 because we're going to put the 3/4 Advantech down here. And we're going to have a 1/4 inch floating floor. So that's about another inch. So 1.5 inches will be 2.5 inches. So now I've got my 2.5 inch line marked in two places. I can use that to show where the bottom's at. So now you have a 4-inch pipe. We're going to go with a 4.5 inch hole saw because that's what we have. And we'll just foam around that pipe once we get everything set in place and painted, and we're sure that's where we want it. So right now, if it's a 4.5 inch hole saw, we need to be 2.25 inches from the edge to the center in both directions. So we can come over here on this line we've drawn, show 2.25 right there. There we go. That should be our hole center. All right, so let's take our handy dandy insulation knife and attempt to cut the insulation out of the way at least. By the way, before I drilled this hole, I made sure we knew we run the dryer wire up. Anything that's in this wall ran up. No wires here, no pipes here. You don't want to just drill into a wall not knowing what's behind it. Put a little bit of that back down in that corner. We'll repack it. That's pretty good. It didn't do too bad. If you don't work a lot of construction or do things with your hands a lot, you may want to use a pair of gloves. We had a comment, and I hadn't thought about it. We had a comment in our last video about insulation that how are we doing that with our bare hands? Why didn't it hurt? I didn't even feel it. But we work with our hands all the time. There's a lot of calluses on our hands, so they can't, I guess the insulation can't really penetrate them. If I did it on my arms or neck or body or something, it itches, but I don't even feel it on my hands. So you might want to wear gloves. We're going to take a masonry bit. We have brick on the outside and then a small gap, and you have your sheathing on the outside of the house. And we need to get a hole straight outside center of this hole so that when we go outside we can use that center and chisel out so that we can put, this is an old vent here, but we got one of these that lets the air go out. We got to get that centered on that hole. I'm going to get down here and try and get this thing as center of that hole as I can, just eyeballing it. Better yet. Inch and a quarter.
You need to be 2.25.
I mean 2.25. With it roughly level, that's 2.25. Only 2.25. That's real close. So we're going to shoot us a hole outside. I believe I hit mortar. Couldn't have got any better than that. Let's go see what we did.
Okay guys, so we need to drill a hole or a series of holes and chisel out for our 4-inch pipe to come out of this wall. And we need to draw a good circle to follow to drill those holes. Well, lo and behold, Dad figured out that one of the fast food plastic drink lids fits perfectly over that hard 4-inch pipe. So we drove a little nail through it, and I'm going to use that to stick in the hole that we need to go through. And there we go. I'm going to draw a circle around that with my Sharpie, and then I'm going to drill a series of holes, and then I'm going to chisel it out and hopefully keep it pretty close to the exact size, because we need a plastic cover to fit over this that is square, so I need to stay within the confines of this. I'm fortunate the top is in mortar. That's going to be easy. This bottom portion is going to get a little bit tricky. And as you guys can see, as luck would have it, our hole came out perfectly in between two bricks. I can't even believe that happened, but that does help. And now we're just going to set the camera up and let you guys watch me go to work doing some chiseling. Okay, now the reason I drilled all these holes is because we want to reduce the chances of breakout further beyond the point where I want to have this circle at. By drilling all those holes, it relieves stress, relieves material, should be a lot easier to chisel out and not break out way out here. So let's get to chiseling. All right, well, we've got it in. All we lack is screwing it in place. I want to put a little bit of mortar behind this just because we chiseled a bunch out to do this, and we want to make sure it's good and solid when we go to mount it. I'll tell you, this is some of the hardest mortar I've ever come across and some of the hardest brick. There's varying hardnesses of mortar and brick depending on how it's fired, how much sand is in it, and this was insane. I mean, I went through a bit and a half drilling out, and then chiseling was a nightmare. It broke out a little bit much. That's why I'm gonna put some mortar back on this side when we get it, when we take it back out. But right now we just want to get the dryer running so we can do some laundry. So let's take you inside and show you how it looks. Well, as you guys can see, this worked out really well. Because we cut a little bit larger hole, we have a little bit of a gap, but we're gonna spray foam in there, seal it up nice and tight, no bugs, no air, nothing will get through. And it's looking good. So all we gotta do now is hook our dryer up. We can do some laundry. And like I said, that brick can be super difficult to work with. If you're going to be doing something like that, take your time. You can always take more off. You can't put it back. Well, you can put mortar back, but depending on if it's covered up or not, it may not look good. So take your time, whittle away a little at a time. It'll go a lot better for you in the long run. And always, a new bit is worth its weight in gold. If you start drilling with an old bit, it's going to wear you out. My grip was getting tired from having to push so hard with that drill, and then I had to swing a 3-pound sledge the whole time chiseling all that out. So make sure you start with a good bit, quality tools. If I'd had a smaller flat blade chisel instead of just a pointed chisel, it would have gone a lot better. Our only flat chisel is dull as dull can be because we've beat so many bricks with it over the years. we really need to get a new chisel. So having the right tools for the job makes your life so much easier, takes the wear and tear off your body. So that's about it. We're gonna do some laundry. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give us a big thumbs up if you did. Make sure you subscribe and check back often. We got a lot coming. Have a good one, guys.